Now, am I suicidal? No. Do I want to go to sleep and not see my son? I do. Perfectly honest, I do. And what will we do it yet? We'll do it together. Leave a note. They'll know when to come and get us. And we'll do it together.
That call made between Donna Adelson and her son, Charlie Adelson, while he was behind bars, is now what has her testifying at this very moment in the courtroom. We told you earlier, Donna's got a motions hearing today, and her team wants to suppress that call. Why? Because it was what investigators essentially had that tipped them off to her trying to flee with that one-way ticket to Vietnam. And she's saying this was a private call, and she thought the call was hung up. But apparently it wasn't, and the talking could still be heard, and investigators got the information they got from it. But she's saying it was private, that the overheard portions of it happened when she thought the call had ended, and now she's going to tell the court about it. Let's watch together live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name for the record and make sure you speak in the microphone?
Yes, Donna Adelson.
Now, I want to direct your attention, we heard the call earlier. The call on November 7th of 2023 at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and for the record, that was call number 561. Do you remember where you were?
Yes, I was in my apartment in my living room.
Do you remember who was present when you got the call?
Yes, my husband, Harvey, and friends of mine, my attorney, Susan Brotman, and her husband, Richard Chagrin.
You said your attorney. What kind of law does Ms. Brotman practice, or did she?
She does estate planning.
Was Ms. Brotman present at your apartment for the purposes of providing you with legal counsel?
Yes, she was.
And do you remember receiving the call from Charlie?
Yes, of course.
And where was Charlie at the time?
So he was in a room by himself. It was after the conviction.
Was he in the jail?
He was in jail.
Okay. What did you do when you saw that Charlie was calling?
Answered the phone.
And you heard the recording that we played earlier?
Yes.
And you agreed for your call with your son to be recorded, correct?
Yes.
As the call was happening, do you know at what point Charlie was no longer on the call?
No, only when because I was talking, and then all of a sudden I asked him something, and I said, "Charlie, do you hear me, Charlie?" And I said it a few times, and he didn't respond anymore. And I knew the call was over.
Now, in the course, during the time that your son was incarcerated in Leon County Jail, did that happen more than, was that a frequent occurrence?
Yeah, it happens. It happens a lot, unfortunately.
Okay. And would there be times when you didn't realize at first that he was no longer on the call?
Yes.
Where in your apartment were you when this happened?
So I was in my living room.
And you heard your voice on that first call number 562, when you repeated, "Charlie, Charlie, are you there?"
Right.
Did you believe the call had ended?
Yes.
And what would, in times prior to this, what would happen after that? What would you do when that would happen?
If he didn't respond anymore, that was it. The call was over.
And what would you do with your phone?
I'd hang up.
Now, same thing with the call on November 8th of 2023, the one at 6:30 in the morning, do you know at what point your son was no longer on the phone?
I don't. I don't remember the call.
In either one of those situations, or in both of those situations, did you believe the call was over?
Yeah, the call was over. He was gone.
And you went about your business?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the November 7th, 2023 phone call when your attorney, your husband, and your husband were present at your apartment, did you agree for your attorney-client conversation to be recorded?
No.
Did you agree for your conversation with your husband to be recorded?
No, of course not.
Now, the following day, did you agree for your subsequent conversation with your husband to be recorded?
No.
Now, you heard the recording. To consent to this call, press 1. Or recording of this call, press 1. Correct?
Correct.
You hung up the phone after those calls were over.
Thought I did.
Just a moment, Your Honor. Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Good morning.
So there in the room with you during this call was, you said your, one of your attorneys, Susan Brotman, your husband, and then also Susan Brotman's husband.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And he was not your attorney?
He was not.
Your attorney?
No, he's not an attorney.
Okay. You were informed at the beginning of that call, this is the one on November 7th that recorded you while they were all in the room. You were informed that you were being recorded if you accepted that call.
Yes.
Okay. And that if you do not want to be on that recorded call, that you needed to hang up the call. Is that right?
Are you saying, does the recording say?
Right. If you do not want to accept that recorded call, you should hang up.
If you do not, yeah, no, I accepted the recorded call.
Okay. And you typically do hang up your calls, you said, after
I mean, I think I did.
your calls with
yeah.
Charlie Adelson when he was in custody. All right, but this particular call that day, evidently you did not properly hang up, right?
Evidently.
Okay. And have you ever forgotten to press the button on a call before?
I mean, it may have happened. I don't know.
Sure. Has your phone pocket dialed people
I don't know.
before?
Has it what?
Pocket dialed people before? When you've been out of custody.
Pocket dialed?
Right.
I don't know what you mean.
Like if your phone is in your pocket or in your purse and it accidentally calls someone you didn't mean it to?
I mean, that could have happened, sure.
Okay. And you also could have not pressed the button on your cell phone to end a call before, right?
It's possible.
Okay. It's not quite as big of a deal as it used to be when you would actually have to like hang up the phone.
Right.
Right. Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Redirect examination.
Briefly, Your Honor. The consent that you gave for the call to be recorded, when did that end?
It ended when Charlie hung up, or when it, whatever stopped the call. I mean, I don't know how it stopped, but it stopped. When the call was over with Charlie, it was over.
Nothing further.
You may step down.
Okay, and that concludes Donna Adelson's testimony today at this motions hearing ahead of her trial. So one of the motions the court is taking up today is this motion to suppress this call filed by the defense from November 7th, 2023. Charlie and Donna are speaking. He is housed in the jail. She's free at home at the time. She thinks the call is over and then makes some statements that are still recorded. Now, anybody who's ever called anybody in the jail or anybody who's watched one of our trials from Court TV knows that there's always that disclaimer that gets said every time there's a call from the jail. You get told you're being recorded. So the competing arguments are she had no expectation of privacy. She was told at the outset it was being recorded, versus she did have an expectation of privacy. She thought the call was over. It was over as far as she could tell on Charlie's end, and she didn't think anything she was saying in her house was still being recorded. That phone wasn't hung up, and it gave investigators the tip that she may be trying to go live in Vietnam, a country that does not have extradition with the United States. She had a one-way ticket to go there. Let's talk about it. Let me bring in our guest, Attorney Cannon Kearney, watching along. Oh, Cannon, what do you think the judge is going to do with this?
Well, Julie, we're getting very, very technical here. The defendant obviously wants for this conversation to come out of the evidence that can be presented in trial. I will say this. I have family members who are incarcerated, so routinely I receive phone calls from them. And I will say my expectation is while I have the phone off of the hook or I'm listening to someone speak, that person is still there. If I don't hear a dial tone or if I don't hear that this call is over, then myself, I would still believe that I am still getting recorded. Based on the testimony from the witness, even right now, she indicated that normally what she would do is hang up when she thought that the phone call was over. Had she said that, when she no longer speaks to him, she doesn't hang up, or that's just not a common practice, then maybe it would be a little bit more believable to the judge. But here, it just seems as if, she had so much going on trying to leave the country that she just forgot to hang up the phone. And so, as the old adage says, you better be careful what you say. So it seems as if her words have now come to bite her.
So true, Cannon. You can never get in trouble with what you don't say. That's the truth. But she said some things. She acted. Investigators acted too. Now I'm curious, do you think the judge will act today on this? Do you think we're going to have a ruling today from him from the bench, or do you think he's going to take all this under advisement and issue a ruling later?
So, there are a lot of motions that are being heard. This is just one of them. Specifically, she's trying to be moved or removed from the incarceration that she's in, I think because they have been threatening her to take away her food or to have her to pay money to other inmates. So I would say that he may not make the decision today because there are a lot of things that he needs to get right. And this is one of the things that, goes to her constitutional right, as you indicated, her expectation of privacy. But again, I would say if he made the decision that he should have no issues with an appeal because everybody uses the phone daily. So what would most reasonable people think if they're being told that they're being recorded and they don't actually hang up the phone? So I would say more likely than not, we won't get a decision because of the multitude of decisions that have to be made up because of the motions. But if he did, again, I would think that the decision would be that she had no expectation of privacy.
Right. Cannon, I'm with you there. Something else to note, as you were speaking, Cannon, we saw Donna. The video image was from right when this hearing was beginning, and she's crying. I mean, she looks like she's really holding back the tears. She looks very upset today. Somewhat of a different disposition than what we've seen from her in the past. Sure, we've seen her stoic. We've seen her not showing much emotion, but today she looks like she's having a hard time keeping it together. And from what we understand, something else that may be brought up at this hearing, Cannon, is that she may have been experiencing bullying going on in the jail. that there may have been some inmates trying to force her to buy them things from the commissary. So not a good day for Donna Adelson.